Hello, it's John Heaton, and today I thought I'd have a bit of fun and put together an imaginary album of what I would call obscure songs from the solo Beatles catalogues. A lot of them are B-sides, in a few cases they're unreleased to this day, at least on physical format. So I've come up with an album of 14 songs, 7 on each side. I've come up with a track listing as well. I've called the album Solo Beatles Hidden Gems brackets My Little B-Sides, which is a line taken from B-side to C-side, which is the B-side of Seaside Woman by Linda McCartney, which didn't make the list, by the way. But without further ado, I will kick off side one of this imaginary album and go to 1979 with Wings' Daytime Nighttime Suffering, which I think a lot of people would agree is one of their best flip sides in their whole career and could easily have been an A-side. In fact, it was strongly considered to be an A-side before they came up with what they considered was even more a commercial number, Good Night Tonight. And I probably think they went with the right single, but I think this song in its own right might have done okay. One can never know, of course, because the singles from Back to the Egg didn't do much. But anyway, that's a really strong number and one of Paul and Linda's favourite songs from their entire career, I think. Number 2, we've got a George track from the B-side of the Bangladesh single from 1971. It's a song he wrote about his mother who was dying at the time. A sad song, but a very beautiful one called Deep Blue. Somewhat lost on the B-side of Bangladesh, although I think it did turn up as a bonus track on the Material World CD kind of decades later, but relatively obscure track. Number 3, we're going to go with Move Over Miss L, which is the B-side to Stand By Me from 1975. This is my Japanese copy, but the version I prefer is from the Lennon Anthology, which is kind of, I think it's mixed a lot better. The vocals are higher in the mix, less horns, and you can hear the kind of Walls and Bridges band, because it was a track slated for Walls and Bridges up until the last minute when John took it off, because he realised he had enough songs. But I think in particular that anthology version works really well, and it's a pretty funky song. I like it. Number 4 on side 1, we've got a Ringo song. The B-side of Photograph is a song called Down and Out, which didn't make the album, but in keeping with the practice of the times, the solo Beatles often included a B-side which was not on the album to give better value money to the fans. And this is a good song, if a little bit repetitive, but quite a catchy song, and very good guitar solo from George Harrison, and also a good piano section from Gary Wright, I think. Number 5 is a track which is almost unreleased. At the time it was unreleased. It did pop up on the B-side of this single, Got My Mind Set on You. It's a track called Lay His Head, which was originally intended for the Summer in England album, but it got rejected by Warner Brothers along with 3 other songs. But I think this is a marvellous song, and I'm just sorry it's never seen a proper release on CD even to this day. It's not even on Spotify or anything, but it did, as I say, appear as a B-side on Forgot My Mind Set on You, that single. So that was Lay His Head. And then we've got a track from Paul, which is Flying to My Home, which is the B-side of My Brave Face. And this is a great hidden gem, if you ask me, with Paul singing in a very unusual kind of sort of semi-falsetto voice, and very effective tune. And I like the middle 8. And I think it's actually better than quite a few tracks which did make Flowers in the Dirt, for example. I think it's better than Don't Be Careless Love. Could have been on the album instead of that, but as it is, it was a good B-side. And to round off side 1, we've got Serve Yourself from John. This is the original bootleg I had, which I bought in Liverpool in '84, I think. And this is his kind of jovial response to Bob Dylan's Gotta Serve Somebody. You Gotta Serve Yourself, sung in a very strong Liverpudlian accent, and very humorous. Just play it. I mean, it was unreleased. It's unreleased officially. That was a bootleg until the Lennon Anthology, when it was proudly included on disc 4 of that wonderful compilation. So turn over to side 2. And we've got a B-side from Paul, I'll Give You a Ring, 1982, but actually he demoed it in one hand clapping in that film from 74. Played quite a good 2-minute version of it then, and it stuck in the kind of vaults. And then he decided to resurrect it when he needed a single in 82, and I'm very glad he did, because I think it's a wonderful song. And I'm pretty sure, I think I'm right in saying it is produced by George Martin. Yeah, it is. So it's from the Tug of War sessions, I'll Give You a Ring. Number 2, we're going to go with Flying Hour. Again, this is an aborted track from Summer in England. This is my bootleg copy of the original Summer in England, which includes Layer's Head, and this was the back cover of that projected album. Got rejected. The cover got rejected, and the track listing got rejected, and this song, Flying Hour, was rejected. But it does appear on Spotify as a bonus track on Summer in England. If you look it up, it's available. But I think from listening to it, it sounds like an outtake from the self-titled album. I think you'll probably agree, you guys out there, because Steve Winwood is quite recognizable with his synthesizer. So I'm pretty sure that was a leftover from the self-titled album sessions. Let me know what you think. Number 3, we're going to go to John and his sort of guide vocal version, which he gave to Ringo of Only You, the old song from the 50s. And he was good. Well, I don't think he was ever going to cover it himself. He would just recorded it for Ringo, and it turns up on the Lennon anthology. For some reason it turns up on disc 4. It should really be on disc 3, but anyway, it's a very good, it's the same instrumentation as the Ringo version, more or less. I'm not sure if it's got Harry's backing vocals, maybe not, but it's the guitar is practically the same backing track, and John sings it very well, and it's definitely worth a listen. Number 4, we're going to go to Ringo and the B-side of It Don't Come Easy, early 1970, which is actually not that an obscure song, because it did turn up on the Ringo CD decades later. Also turned up on the compilation Blast From Your Past, and it's a very pleasing song for Beatles fans, because he basically sings a verse about each of his 3 fellow Beatles, and it's in the spirit of reconciliation. When at the time it came out, it was about the low point of their relationships with each other, or particular the relations between John, George and Ringo, and on one hand, and McCartney on the other hand. So a very uplifting song. Number 5, we've got the wonderful B-side to Helen Wheels, Country Dreamer, which we now know was slated to be on the double album Red Rose Speedway when it was planned as a double, but it eventually ended up as a single. That's a wonderful song. Number 9, we've got Miss O'Dell from George Harrison, another wonderful humorous B-side. Not often did he display humour in his work, but he did here. And then to round off the whole collection, we've got Grow Old Along With Me, and I'm going to choose the anthology version with the string arrangement from George Martin, which Yoko Ono called fruity when I met her, but I rather like. And obviously the demo, which appeared on Milk and Honey, was a little bit bare. So this was a good enhancement, and gave you some idea of what the song would sound like had it been near finished. And Ringo did a decent version of it as well on one of his recent albums. So this was my track listing of my imaginary solo Beatles hidden gems, brackets my little B-sides. All of them worth checking out, and hope you enjoyed that. We'll see you next time.